What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and hopefully you've watched yesterday's video. If you haven't yet watched that, do go check it out. And yeah, let's jump straight into things. So we are going to start on the 1 hour, and then we are going to go up to the daily and then come back down. And as you can see, price has delivered quite aggressively to the as you can see, price has delivered quite aggressively to the downside, and you'll see that price didn't manage to trade up into the fair value gap as I anticipated. So you'll see that there was a lot of consolidation around this range, which I brought our attention to yesterday, and then you can see that price broke through it. And if you remember in yesterday's video, I was stating that if price disrespects this PDRA, this breaker, if price disrespects it, then price is going to run, and then I'd go short, and then would be on the right side of the market, and then I'd assume that Monday has made the high, and that's exactly what happened. So as soon as we started trading through this, don't get me wrong, a few times we were tapping into it, and I was looking very closely, and you can see we did trade higher, but price failed to even touch this fair value gap, and then you can see how aggressively we broke lower. So yeah, as price was trading through this, that's when I knew, okay, cool, one the wrong side, as in price is going to continue going down. And then that's when we started targeting our lows. Now, do remember, my bias for the week anyway is to see a down close week, so this is all in line with that. It's just that we didn't get that fill in the buy side which I anticipated. Now, this can work both ways. It can work well because it suggests that we're heavily bearish, the fact that price failed to even try and fill this fair value gap. But then obviously if anyone was trying to trade long into this, then obviously they would have got taken out. Now yeah, it's nice to see the nice displacement. You'll see how we created this low, quite interesting, and now I'm looking at this low as our target. So you can see how price didn't spend much time above that Sunday opening price at all, and I do assume that this Monday is the high, but obviously we still got 3 days left, so we'll see how Wednesday trades. But that all depends on if we continue to respect bearish PDRAs as we push lower. So what's interesting is how we're respecting this blue level, which I believe is a weekly PDRA. Let me double check. No, a daily PDRA. So this is the daily fair value gap, and you can see how price is wicking through it, but we haven't quite traded through it just yet. But as soon as price gets below it, I want to see it act as resistance and start looking for these lows, etc. But for now, let's go to the 4 hour, take a closer look, and you can see there's a lot of back and forth price action. So here we've traded higher, lower. So now I'm happy to see price leave this range basically. So our current trading range, what we can do is we can split it between this low and this high. And then this 50% level, the way that we traded through it, that would be the very highest I'd expect price to trade if it even manages to get up there. As in with how aggressive we've displaced lower now, I'm happy to remain bearish moving into Wednesday. And then obviously we have high impact news tomorrow, that should help. And then you can see we have this long wick as well, and wicks are gaps too. There's technically an implied fair value gap right here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down to a lower time frame. But before we do that, I do want to bring our attention to this fair value gap as well. So this is an inversion fair value gap now. And let me just thicken this up. So I hope this is clear, because I know this is looking quite confusing, but let's take a look. So if we look between this high and this low and drag that through, you can see our price is traded through to the downside. And what we do is we split fair value gaps up into quarters, and again 50% level. I'm watching that level very closely. In fact, we should draw this level out as well, because ideally price doesn't even get back above that, considering we've traded through it. We traded through to the downside. So now this should act as a bearish fair value gap, and if it's going to do so, it will respect the 50% level, as in if price taps it, it should find resistance, and that's assuming it even gets up there. So yeah, we'll keep that in mind, but let's get rid of this for now that we know we've got 50% off a inversion 4 hour fair value gap, and that we're below that 50% level. We'll find that the 25% level is also very sensitive to price, and so to delineate that, and what I'm going to do, oh dear, let's just get this sorted. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make that, bear with me guys, I'm going to make that blue and dashed, and the reason for that is because we'll see, if you study price tomorrow and watch this level, you'll see how price probably will likely gyrate or use it. So that's just something to consider. So now we know these are inversion fair value gap levels that we're expecting resistance to be found at. So let's go back to that 1 hour. And you'll see that 25% level is lined up with this bearish order block. Actually, I say that technically this isn't a bearish order block. This is price action is very clean, as you can see with all the wicks. But generally speaking, any kind of rallying up into here, I'd expect to be like a premium for price at this point, because again we're below that 50% level, and we even have a 1 hour fair value gap that we're also below. So what does that mean? That means that this should act as resistance, which is in line with our bias. So you'll see how I'm layering my biases now, and as to what these should be able to support the theory that price should be able to continue lower, get through this daily fair value gap and start running for these lows as a target. So let's get this delineated like so for sell side liquidity. I have seen some messages asking for some more teaching like level content, because I do plan in March to do some more, you know, advanced videos, so to speak. So do hold me to that, guys. Make sure to turn on post notifications. In March I'll try and get 2 or 3, you know, more detailed and in-depth videos out. I'm sure you'll appreciate that. But let's look at how price delivered here. So you can see our price, you see the way we're taking out this high and then traded on lower. It's things like this. This is like a level of confirmation to me that price can continue lower. As in, if price was to now run out this high, then I'd expect these highs to get taken out. So it's hard to explain, but my point is, it's accumulated buy stops again. We should be able to drop lower again. So we're seeing our price is constantly like checking in on itself. It's like, okay, expansion, check, and it's going to go into the next level. And also, this is a, you know, a traded dealing range in that we've gone lower, higher, and lower again. So if we look at that trading range between this low and this high, again, I'm looking at this 50% level and the way that we're treating it. It's hard to explain, but my point is I like the look of this, and this will be a indicator for me. So if somehow price manages to rally again back on itself and it gets above this high, that will indicate to me that, okay, it's likely going to go for these highs and these highs. But so long as price is below this, I'm happy to remain bearish. We can also take a look at this breaker, high, low, high, high. What does it line up with? The level which I've already drawn our attention to again. So you're seeing how these PD arrays on different time frames are starting to line up with each other. And then again, you can see our price is struggling to get through this daily fair value gap, but eventually I'd like to think it'll be able to trade through it. And we do have high impact news tomorrow that should help push that. But yeah, other than that, yeah, as soon as price started breaking through like that 50% level right here, as soon as I got delineated, as soon as that got traded through, I was like, okay, cool. We can start looking for these lows, and we can start looking for these lows as targets, as I was saying, because as much as we tried and attempted to trade higher into the fair value gap, we didn't reach it. So like, you know, there was an attempt and it failed. And then also what we can look at is this gap. So you can see we've got a massive imbalance right here. And look how price tapped it once, tapped it twice, and then left it. So there's a few things going on here. So that's going to be everything on GBP for now. Again, highest I want to see price trade will be this range, which I just delineated. Any higher than that, whole different story. But, you know, I'm expecting price to remain below here and to continue to run on lower into the sell side liquidity and start dipping into the discounts. But you can see we've had quite a difficult week so far in that we're having a lot of back and forth price action. So we just need to be patient and just allow price to do its thing as per usual. Let's head on to GBP USD. We'll start here on the daily, and you can see price is traded through. So we didn't quite manage to trade all the way down into the fair value gap as anticipated. All of these levels which I spoke about here on Sunday, these can pretty much be deleted because we're respecting the bullish order block. So we traded down into a daily bullish order block, and then price has left it and traded on higher. So I want to see up close day tomorrow. Same thing. I'm expecting continuation with an expectation to then run for that Monday high for buy stops. Let's go down to the 4 hour. And again, you can see a breaker here, low, high, low, low, which traded into the bullish order block very beautifully. Did it trade to the 50% level? Of course, 50% level gets tapped right here. Expansion. And then you can see we've even tapped into the breaker here. So we might find that price is going to continue, you know, running maybe into even the Asia session. We might find that we take out this high during Asia potentially. My point is I'm expecting to see a continuation. Let's go to, oh, this is the 3 hour. Whoops. But this is classic price action in that we've got an expansion, we've got a fair value gap, and we've got a breaker, low, high, low, low, and price is tapped into that. So that would suggestively be the ideal long, with the expectation to then offset stops up there with a stop loss below here. So you can see how price is forming, which is nice to see. Let's go to the 15-minute. But I do think we're just going to see continued rallying, and at this level I spoke about yesterday. So this buy side liquidity I did speak about. I think even on Sunday I spoke about it. So I'm still expecting price to continue up there. Nothing's really changed other than you see these down close candles, how we're trading within it. So these 3 down close candles, I'm expecting price to respect the 50% level off that. So you can see we've tapped into a fair value gap right here. but ideally price doesn't need to, you know, spend much time hanging around there anymore. It should have the consistency to be able to continue, especially the way it's tapped into this fair value gap and left it. But as you can see, we still haven't quite taken out that high, so that's what I'm watching closely. I want to make sure that this high is taken out before I get any, like, you know, too comfortable. Let's go to the 5 minute, take a closer look. And then you can see there's like a break within a breaker here. Again, last up close candles, lower expansion, but you can see, look at this high, and this high, very relative. So they're not going to leave that untouched. There's going to be a lot of buy stops above there that price is going to want to swoop. So ideally Wednesday, I'd like to think that we will target that and it's, again, start reaching for our more premium PD arrays. So yeah, I hope that all makes sense, guys. Do watch yesterday's video for more context. Again, I was expecting us to, you know, actually try and fill this fair value gap, but we just managed to tap into it. And then you can see the continued support. We ran out sell stops, and then we've had beautiful expansion to the upside. We can even find our 3 a.m. setup as per usual. Let's take a look. So there's 3 a.m. 3 a.m. we trade lower, we trade higher. Now, don't get me wrong, to be honest, there's no clear fair value gap on the 5 minute here. It's not until, I'd say, this candle at 540 where a nice setup forms. So in this sense, the 3 a.m. setup, I would argue wasn't there, because I didn't manage to catch it here. You know, I had to wait. But generally speaking, when you see continuous support like this and it's failing, and look at how volume's respecting certain levels, it's usually indicative that we're probably going to run. And if you remember yesterday's video as well, I was saying if it's going to trade higher, it's going to do it aggressively and it's going to do it quick. And you can see what I meant by that. It's done it with expansion. Same on dollar. So let's finish up on Euro USD. Euro traded beautifully into the buy side target, which I spoke about on Sunday. And we can probably identify some divergence at some point, but I'll probably look at that tomorrow. Where are we? Let's go to the daily, sorry. Right here, beautiful large expansion to the upside, bullish order block right here. Again, we're expecting price to eventually tack here, and if we want to rally, you know, we already have a premium target up here to trade to, so that's something to take into account. And then because this is a bullish order block, what we can do, I'm going to clear this Euro chart up. We can look at this open off the bullish order block. And if price wants to tap there, maybe create the low, we'd expect that to be sensitive and act as a propulsion block, similar to what we see here. Price traded into it, expansion. So when price trades into this one, we expect the same thing, ideally. And then we have these beautiful relative equal lows, highs, sorry, above here for buy side, and then eventually up into this buy side as well. But, you know, Euro's got a long way to go. But Euro looks much more like dollar in terms of inversely. So what we can also study is this implied inversion fair value gap, like what we did on dollar. We trade through on the downside, delivered on the upside, meaning that if we return back into this range, what we're expecting, that 50% level to be respected. Ideally, we only reach the 25% level, which would be here, and that happens to line up with that bullish order block again. So again, we're layering our confluences, and you can see there's a nice bullish order block there as well, fair value gap. So there's potential for price to want to hang around in here, but generally speaking, I want to see price get out and continue to expand to the upside in line with dollar. Again, I'm happy for it to rally slightly, but I'm expecting a continuation to the downside. So that's going to be everything, guys. I hope that all makes sense. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the mailing list, join the Discord, and do turn on post notifications. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.